For most of the 20th century prior to World War II, Korea existed under Japanese rule. However, when the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, effectively ending the war and forcing a Japanese surrender, Korea was left ungoverned. Therefore, the United States occupied the southern portion and Soviet forces moved into the north. Later in the 1940s, Allied occupation of Korea led to the formation of two de facto states, neither acknowledging the existence of the other. In the north, Korean communists established the Democratic Republic of Korea with support from the Soviets and Communist China, while conservatives established the Republic of Korea in the south, with the mild support of the United States. Then, on June 25, 1950, Northern forces launched a coast-to-coast attack, and fearing the spread of communism throughout all of Asia, the United States responded. After 3 years of fighting, a relative peace was established, with North Korean forces sufficiently driven back. However, the United States still maintained a presence in Asia, keeping a watchful eye over the actions of North Korea, China, and the Soviet Union. In the United States, the draft was still being implemented following the end of the Korean War, as the Vietnam conflict loomed. Don Zad was then 18 years old and experienced the draft after the war had ended.
I decided to volunteer for the draft rather than wait for the draft to take me at an unknown time. And the reason I volunteered was to go in on the time that I selected and also into the branch of service. Otherwise, I could have been drafted any time, 6 months, a year later, and gone into any of the different services. I ended up volunteering and entered the service on November 23rd, 1953, and went into the Army. I did my basic training in Fort Dix, New Jersey, and I did such a good job, they invited me back for advanced infantry training for another 8 weeks. I then went on vacation back home for a couple of weeks, and when I reported back, I was sent overseas to Japan, where I spent 16 months.
Even after the San Francisco Peace Treaty came into effect in 1952, ending the United States' reconstructive efforts in Japan, the United States maintained forces in Japan to supervise the progression of communism in Asia.
Initially, I was stationed in the northernmost island of Japan, Hokkaido, which was about 20-25 miles from the Siberian border, and basically we were there to really be available for any possible action if the Russians or the Chinese decided to make any moves either against Japan or against Formosa or Quemoy, which is now Taiwan.
Even a decade after World War II had ended, much of Japan was still completely destroyed, making occupation a harrowing experience for many U.S. soldiers.
While I was there, I saw the dramatic aftermath and the results of the heavy bombing of Tokyo, keeping in mind this was like 8 or 9 years after the Second World War ended. But I do recall in the downtown area seeing buildings completely destroyed as a result of the long ago U.S. bombing runs, and they hadn't refurbished the city yet. I also remember seeing a group of young schoolgirls dressed in their school uniforms waiting for a bus and standing in front of a completely demolished building with the rubble piled high, and this picture has remained with me for more than 55 years.
It was at that time that the United States informally established its position as the so-called policeman of the world, taking it upon themselves to assist allies in need in almost every situation. Well, how did you feel about the post-war American occupation in Asia in general, like after World War II and after the Korean War? Do you think it was necessary to just to have the troops there in case of any other attacks?
I think it was necessary at that time to deter the Chinese and to deter the Russians as well from helping the Chinese. Do I think it's still valid? Probably not. I think currently we still have too many troops all over the world, and I think it's very tough and to have the U.S. be the policeman of the world and everyone else standing by with their hands behind their back and saying, let the Americans do it.
Right. Do you think it was a mistake to establish our position as the policeman of the world back in the World War II era?
No, because basically at that point we were the policemen of the world. We were the strongest country by far,
yeah, absolutely.
militarily wise and financially wise.